Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Here's what's making news right now.
We're home, like we're back. Our neighbors are pulling up. You know, it's indescribable, really. It is. Yeah. It's special, yet we have a long road ahead, a lot of recovery ahead.
Most pharmacies are carrying it. I know myself will have ours in tomorrow. So anybody who wants to get it, so you'd be either asymptomatic with a positive test, you've done one of the at-home tests to say yes, you have it, or you actually have symptoms, you go and either see your physician, or you can go to any of the health unit clinics.
He said wholeheartedly, he meant it. So I accepted it, and that's when I broke down, and was so grateful because that money that he gave me really helped.
Thanks for joining us. Tears and relief in Wheatley today as residents return to their homes and reunited with neighbors. They've been kept out ever since last summer's gas explosion, now allowed to return because the municipality has reduced the evacuation zone. But as Jacob Barker reports, they face a different and difficult reality.
We've been gone for quite a while, but we're back.
This is the mess the Lambs have to deal with now that they can access their property again. 2.5 feet of sewage flooding their basement.
We have a sewage pump in the basement, and with the hydro, yeah,
just
filled up. So you don't want to stay too long with this.
Okay. Mold has seeped up and covers everything in the house. The contractor doing the job estimates there's about 5 truckloads worth to get out.
I've never seen anything like this. I've been in the industry about 20 years, and I've never seen anything like this.
This is one property of several he expects to do work on in the community.
There's some that aren't so bad, some that are like this.
It's a massive task for this couple to deal with after months of being separated from their property.
They have to wait for insurance, right? They have to decide, are they going to gut the house or are they going to do a tear down? We know what we would prefer because we smelled it, we were in it. But it's up to them, right, at this point.
Is the prefer, do you want to tear it down?
Oh, yes.
An emotional day. Not only are they getting their home back, but also their neighbors.
We're home, like we're back. Our neighbors are pulling up. You know, it's indescribable, really. It is.
Yeah. To see each other like back by our houses, it's kind of surreal right now, to be honest.
The job on this side of the street is a little easier.
We are very, very lucky with the amount of damage we don't have.
Yeah, more just dirt, so a good cleaning and we're good to go.
But the Gruber household won't be allowed back today either. They still have utilities to hook up before they're allowed to occupy the house, something that could take weeks.
I'm hoping that maybe by the end of the month everything can be said and done and we can get back in.
This couple bought their house just 3 weeks before the explosion happened. A new start in a new neighborhood put on hold. They are eager to get back at it.
So we moved in. We haven't even finished unpacking yet, to be honest. We still have so many boxes in the garage and sitting in rooms and stuff. We hadn't finished unpacking.
Today, crews were out moving the fencing that blocks people from going in or out of the evacuation zone. Shrinking it allows 34 households back in and 6 businesses. But of course, there are still those on the outside looking in. For those inside the evacuation zone, they're still in limbo.
It'd be awesome to be able to start work on our house and move back in, but again, we don't know how long it will be.
The municipality of Chatham-Kent says it will continue to provide temporary accommodation assistance to those who are still displaced. If they do want to visit their property, they will be able to do so, but in a limited way and only if it's deemed safe at the time. But as far as that process of moving in, for that, they'll have to wait. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Wheatley.
The search continues for a suspect wanted in connection to the shooting in Forest Glade. 5 people have been arrested and charged, all while police say there's been an uptick of gun crime in our city. The CBC's Chris Ensing takes a look at the numbers.
Our border city has a history of gun crime. Windsor has been called a pipeline for guns because of our proximity to the United States. Experts say that most weapons smuggled into Canada end up in Toronto when we're talking about that 401 corridor. But those guns do find their way on the streets of Windsor as well.
Fired from the hip.
That's what happened in 2013. This was Project Traveler, a province-wide investigation that included raids in Windsor. More than 40 weapons seized. This weekend's shooting, it's re-sparked interest in gun crimes locally. Police say gun-related investigations are creeping up. These are shooting incidents involving people or property on the rise since 2017. Here's the number of weapons seized over that same time frame. Most of these weapons are rifles or shotguns, then handguns, followed by air rifles and pellet guns. These stats about guns seized, they could be legal or illegal. A Toronto researcher says that most of the weapons used in violent crime here in Canada actually come from the United States, but also says the data on that isn't widely available and that it's often spotty at best. As for what Windsor Police Service are doing about the guns in our community, they're partnering with the Ontario Provincial Police, which is leading an initiative that was launched with government money announced back in November. $75 million in investment to beef up gun and gang-related investigations. That will include adding a unit that will go around Ontario and help prosecute people charged with gun trafficking charges, as well as beef up the border enforcement security teams that currently exist. As far as the shooting at the bowling alley over the weekend, police continuing to search for one suspect, saying that he should be considered armed and dangerous, and asking anyone with information to contact Major Crimes. Chris Sensing, CBC News, Windsor.
The antiviral drug used to treat COVID-19 is hitting the shelves in drugstores across Windsor, Essex, and Chatham-Kent today. Paxlovid has been extremely effective in keeping people out of hospital, but as Del Molnar reports, not everyone is eligible to take it.
Pharmacist Tim Brady has been getting a lot of inquiries about Paxlovid. He says his first shipment of his Bell River pharmacy will be coming tomorrow. But he warns don't go rushing in to get it. He says patients need a prescription from a doctor, and it's currently only being administered to people in high-risk groups and those who are immunocompromised.
Older patients, so anyone over the age of 70, and then anyone over the age of 60 that hasn't had 3 shots. And then anyone between 18 and 60, it really is depending on your other medical conditions. There's a set of criteria the province has set out to say if you fit these criteria, those are the people that will be getting it.
Paxlovid has to be taken within a 5 to 7 day time frame at the first sign of symptoms, but there's a hitch. Even people in the high-risk groups might not be able to take it.
It contains 2 drugs, one of which has a lot of interactions with many common medications that patients are on. So if you're somebody who does have risk factors like diabetes and high blood pressure and heart failure, there's a very good chance that you may be on a medication that directly interacts with Paxlovid and are not eligible for it.
However, SAD says if enough people can take it, Paxlovid could drastically reduce the number of people who end up in hospital.
We know that in studies where Paxlovid was used in appropriate patient populations, it could reduce hospitalizations by about 88%. And that could certainly be a game changer if enough people had access to it.
All the patients the hospital has administered the drug to so far were kept out of hospital. If you think you need Paxlovid, you need to see your doctor first, or if you don't have a family doctor, you can visit the Windsor Regional Hospital website to apply. Even if you are on medications, the dosage might be altered to allow you to receive Paxlovid. Once you get a prescription, the cost is covered by the province. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
To international news now. There are reports Russian forces may have achieved one of their key goals in the war in Ukraine. Russia says more than 1,000 Ukrainian Marines have surrendered in the southern port city of Mariupol. Russian media has been showing these pictures, purporting to show the surrender of members of Ukraine's 36th Marine Brigade. Now, the authenticity of the video has not been confirmed. Mariupol has been a prime target since the first days of the Russian invasion. Other video shows Russian forces taking media members on a tour of the areas of Mariupol that are under Russian control. It shows troops' aid to civilians. It's the only food and water available right now because no international help has been allowed in. The mayor says more than 100,000 people remain trapped in the city. The Bank of Canada has doubled its benchmark interest rate, pushing it to 1% from 0.5%. It's the second time in 2 months the central bank has raised its rate in an effort to control inflation. And as CBC's Leanne Young tells us, the housing market is already feeling the effects.
All right, so tell me about this place.
It's been 5 months since realtor Leo Wilk listed this $1 million 3-bedroom condominium just outside of downtown Vancouver, and still no bites.
We just reduced the price, and we still have good activity on it, but just haven't found the right person yet. I actually do like this exposed concrete.
After record sales last year, the realtor is now sensing a shift in Vancouver's red-hot housing market.
A home that was going to get 20 offers not that long ago, we'll get quite a bit less, 5, 10, who knows what the number is when it comes down to.
He won't call it a buyer's market yet. Average home prices are still rising, but demand is slowing. In Toronto's once frenzied market, prices are already dipping.
We've just been in a very aggressive seller's market in the past 2 years, and so this is a big shock.
As the economy...
The jolt stems from the Bank of Canada's much-expected rate hike. The bank announced today its biggest jump in more than 2 decades, raising its benchmark rate from 0.5% to 1%.
We are committed to using our policy rate to return inflation to target, and will do so forcefully.
The bank is trying to rein in inflation. With uncertainty from the war in Ukraine straining supply chains, oil and food prices are soaring.
Inflation is at 30-year highs, so something needs to be done so that we're not paying such ridiculous prices for things.
Some experts say, though, much of the inflationary pressure is coming from outside of Canada, so increasing interest rates here won't have an immediate effect.
I think we're going to have the worst of both worlds in Canada for the rest of this year.
The central bank says the economy can weather the hikes, pointing to signs like the record low unemployment rate. For those looking to get into the housing market, the higher mortgage rates can come with upsides.
Now they're going, oh wait, I don't have to compete with 20 other people. I can do an inspection. I can have some time to do some diligence. It's actually a relief, I would say, almost.
The competition may thin out further as the Bank of Canada is signaling more hikes ahead. Leanne Young, CBC News, Vancouver.
Windsor City Councillors deserve a pay bump. That's according to a recommendation from a committee reviewing council compensation. It advises that councillors get a salary increase of about $5,100 starting next term. That would bring up their annual income to $52,000. The chair of the committee, Vincent Georgie, noted that some councillors worked anywhere from 25 hours to 60 hours a week. The report will go to council at its next meeting on April 25th, where the recommendations will be considered. Countless hours of creating intricate crochet works of art is paying off for Alexandria Massey. Literally, she's won a $10,000 grant from Canadian wearable art brand Fluvog Shoes. She's a student in Halifax, but her art makes her feel closer to home, to a little restaurant her grandparents owned in Windsor.
This is really fun. A lot of people liked how strange it was. And then I have the bunny one. Yeah, a lot of people like the bunny. And then this is what I'm working on for like my final kind of studio thesis project before I graduate. I'm doing a bunch of pieces that are inspired by my grandparents' restaurant. They closed it in 2010, but I was inspired by their mascot, which is like the silver dragon, the name of the restaurant. And I'm creating a bunch of different dishes that are inspired by the cuisine. Yeah, so my grandparents are from Hong Kong, and when they came over here, they worked a lot, and a lot of my memories with them as a kid was hanging out in the restaurant. And so it's basically like Cantonese style food, and there's a lot of like different pieces I'm creating that are like noodles, wontons. I created a bok choy piece I still have to share. And what else am I making? Oh yeah, I dried hot pepper and an egg tart, which is currently pinned together in the background, but I wanted to create a bunch of dishes to like go around a table. And they're all pieces that are meant to be like worn on the head. I also miss like living on the river and just the sunsets over Detroit and a lot of those things. I think like growing up in a very almost like industrial kind of city and like creating like how car manufacturing is such a big deal in Windsor kind of like pushed me towards liking really soft things and working with a lot of soft materials in my practice, which I also think is an interesting juxtaposition. But I'd say Windsor is also a big inspiration because like that's where I grew up, that's where I was born, that's what I'm pretty much only familiar with until I moved to pursue university.
A group of local runners is off to the U.S. for the Boston Marathon. We spoke with one of them about how running has changed his life.
When I was a kid, I had a major weight problem. I was like probably 245 pounds, really out of weight, out of shape. I first started cycling. That helped me lose a lot of weight. I did it year round. I did it for, like 15 years throughout the winter. So I got used to all the conditions, and then I got bored with it, and I started running it just to be competitive, and I got somewhat good at it, but not good enough, and just kept working at it, and yeah, so it helps, keep me active and in shape, basically. Get yourself together with a good group of friends and people that will encourage you and support you, and get out there. Just to get out there. I mean, you don't have to race. You don't have to be competitive. You just have, just get out there and enjoy yourself, and be happy.
Now, these runners have been putting in hours of training in order to compete in the marathon. And to get a sense of exactly what it takes, our Jacob Barker, who you can see right there, he was put to the test.
What does somebody need to know to prepare for a marathon?
Basics: nutrition, gear, proper training block of whatever amount of weeks that you decide through you and your coach or training program. You get a lot of programs online that give you the ability to build a base slowly over time to get to that point. And I mean, you have to set realistic goals. So if you're somebody who's new at running, you're not going to run a 2-hour and 40-minute marathon. So you have to just figure out what pace works best for you to understand where you need to be as far as your training goals. What I'll do before I run, which I always have done religiously, is I will do leg swings, right? So I'll leg swing just to open up the hip, right? Get it loosen up a little bit. And what I would do is I would do like a 2-mile warm-up run, which means a nice, easy warm-up run where you just kind of be just a light jog. I don't know. If you're going to jog, you want to get your shoes properly done up.
So we're going to run up this hill at Blue Heron Park. There aren't many hills in Windsor, but there are in Boston, so it's an important part to get ready for that marathon. Ready to go?
Agreed.
All right, let's go. All right.
Good.
I was taking notes there. I'm not running a marathon, but I will be running a half marathon in October. So that's some good motivation for me there. A live look outside. We have a few showers expected tonight, and Colette will be here after the break with a look at our weather. And later in the show, you won't want to miss a visit to the tropical hut Philippine cuisine on Goyo Street, where we're going to meet the owner, who's become a TikTok sensation. Stay with us. Heavy snow and strong winds in southern Manitoba and parts of southeastern Saskatchewan are forecast to last until Friday as a spring blizzard storms across the region.
I thought winter was over.
Roads are shut down, schools are closed, and most flights through Winnipeg's airport are canceled. Environment Canada is warning people to avoid driving, and some areas are expected to get up to 60 centimeters of snow. A much different day here in Windsor. While some may not have appreciated the overcast skies, it was definitely ideal fishing weather, and we really can't complain after seeing those images in Manitoba. And Colette, I don't know if I've ever been more grateful for Windsor's climate. This is a good time to bring you in.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, what's sort of dramatic about this is it's all really the same system, or at least associated, but very, very dramatically different conditions that we're receiving from it. So I'll kind of show you what's happening here. I've defined this for you. So we have an area of low pressure, the cold front, the storms and severe weather along that stateside, the warm front, which we experienced some of that warmth and milder conditions into southern Ontario, and that area of low pressure. But then there's a second area of low pressure, and we kind of call this a double-barrel low. And this energy is sort of coming together, and what will happen is this is going to kind of break apart, and it will keep moving on towards the east and take its associated weather with it. But this kind of gets held up away from the upper atmosphere's winds to kind of push it along, and that's why they're going to see for a few days in that region the snowfall continuing and the windy conditions very winter-like. Whereas at lunchtime, I know it's a little different story right now, but at lunchtime it was 20 degrees and sunshine, and now it's 16 overcast and showers in the region. You can see those being picked up on the radar. There have been a few isolated thunderstorms this side of the border, but not much to it. Mostly it's just in the form of rain. A little better organized here, but it becomes more intermittent through the overnight, and then we'll see this peeling away, but we'll see the winds ramping up, and because of that, a special weather statement in place. Look how these winds will be picking up through the overnight hours. These are some of the gusts you can expect, some of those exceeding 60, even towards 65 kilometers an hour. We get a little bit of a lull in the winds towards midday, and only a little bit, meaning not as strong as they'll be in the morning, but also not as strong as they'll be later in the day, where they pick up once again. So really kind of a blustery day coming our way on Thursday. You see that precipitation becomes more intermittent, and early tomorrow morning we're going to lose it and the cloud cover. A few isolated showers will pop up later in the day, but most of those will be to the east of us. So here you are tonight, winds picking up. It's already been breezy through the day today, don't get me wrong. I realize that. Into tomorrow we'll get clearing, and then up to 14 degrees. Friday, more rain showers moving in, and that cooler air coming. Hey, compare it to those of the west, it's fine, but cooler air for the weekend, Katerina.
You're right, we got to count our blessings.
You got
Thanks
it.
for that, Colette.
You're welcome.
When we come back, we're going to visit a local Filipino restaurant, and we'll meet the owner who went viral after an act of kindness. Stay with us.
podcasts.
The owner of a local Filipino restaurant has become a social media darling. She garnered attention after letting a customer who said he couldn't pay eat for free. The moment captured on camera, posted on TikTok. Our video producer stopped by the Tropical Hut restaurant to see how the owner is dealing with all the attention.
After I served him the food, he ate, a piece of it, and admitted that actually I have my wallet with me. He said the fact that I was going to allow him to have a free meal. He gave me $1,000, but I refused it because I did not earn it. Finally, he said wholeheartedly, he meant it. So I accepted it, and that's when I broke down and was so grateful because that money that he gave me really helped because, as a business owner, and restaurant business is one of the hardest areas that was hit by COVID. And so when he gave me that, I cried and said that I have enough now to pay for my rent. I never had expected that interaction, that it would be a big deal for other people, because Filipinos naturally are generous. If someone asks us, they're hungry, we'll feed them.
How has your restaurant changed since that the video went viral?
It went crazy. Every day, different people, not only Filipinos, come here and even congratulated me and hugged me. I'm here, I saw you, you went viral, I wanted to support you. And not only that, those who cannot be here physically message me that they will support me through social media. So they boost my social media, they're giving me good reviews, like the owner is amazing and she has a kind-hearted. Since Zach uploaded my video in just an hour, from my 300 followers on Instagram, it went up to 12.4K in just an hour, and it still continues from here now and then.
A restaurant owner in Turkey has sent one of his kebabs where no kebab has gone before, to the edge of space. The kebab was held on a tray and attached to a heat-resistant styrofoam box along with a GoPro camera. And then a helium balloon then carried it a reported 30 to 40 kilometers to the edge of space. And that's when the balloon burst, sending the kebab and the camera plummeting back to Earth. And that is it for CBC Windsor News. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.